Hello everyone, what's up? Today we are watching our regular Chess Fight Night arena tournament as usual because it's Monday. I am Arman Gevadyan. I hope you know me already. Today I'll be commentating only the youngest sister, Pinkamena, because Fatality is right now playing a classical game. So we'll just believe in her and hope she'll win and at least play good chess. And Pinkamena will be the sole star of our show today. Now we'll be more concentrated on her games because usually I'm trying to commentate Fatality's games most because they make more sense, you know. And also I know that you guys love Pinkamena so much, and you'll be like excited even if the games are not commented just by watching her play. So we'll just wish her best luck and watch her games. So the first one is already starting. The opponent has exactly the same rating as she does. Plays e4, e5. So now we are playing knight c3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6, knight f3. So that's kind of usual opening. You know, when you teach young kids how to play chess, the first lessons that you give is that you have to like play e4, e5, develop pieces, and this kind of stuff. Oh, h6 is played. Black is letting white to eat on c5, hoping that the d4 square will compensate the relatively weakened pawn structure. The exchange happened. Now white plays g4. We'll take on d4, I suppose. Yeah, that's it. Well, bishop on g6 is struggling a little bit, and c5 was not a move. Black had to play more careful. And now it's not looking good already. So that's why you have to castle quickly when you play the like openings. I don't know how it's too called in English better. So in open positions, you have to castle as soon as you can to avoid this kind of blunders. So Pinkamena, by the way, is leading 1-0 against this guy. So maybe he's not this strong. And we already can see that because now f4 was very strong, and then f5 and the bishop, white squared bishop will be completely useless. But white missed that opportunity, and now maybe we have some chances, and rook e8 is not really a good move, of course, because now after exchange, white will queen a8 check, and the game is over. Sadly, we are not off to a good start. But she's smiling at least. So hope we can correct the result as soon as possible. So the second game starts. The opponent has even more rating than the previous one. This stuff happens when you play arena tournaments. For example, maybe this is this guy's first game. Knight f6, d3, bishop c5. So that's a Ruy Lopez opening. Not a very common variation, I'd say. I think we can try to eat the e5 pawn now. Yeah, I don't think that black will have a decent compensation for that. Should have played like d6 maybe. h6 is a bad move because you see, black had to find some compensation because they lost a pawn, so black would have to try to create like some tactical stuff, some chances, and you're not allowed to make moves like h6 in this kind of situations because you can't afford to waste your dynamic chances. It worked out somehow. White moved his knight to f3. That's not a really good place, I'd say, because now the pin is on, and it's not easy to avoid it. Maybe I can just play g4, and then knight e5, then e4. At least we have some central squares. c5 is played. I think g4 is fine. g4, I don't think that sacrifice on g4 is about to work, because we'll play knight b1 and knight d2 will be set to success. And if black goes bishop g6, we can just play knight e5, f4. And because we have control of the center, it's not very likely that black will have some decent counterplay on the king side and will be able to use the weaknesses of our king's position. Knight a4 is played. So this move attacks the c5 pawn, and it's not this easy to defend against this, because I think b6 will be met by maybe b4. At least there is this kind of possibility. Let's see if Pinkamena was planning this. Or maybe g4 was even stronger now, because now knight e5 would be a double attack. But seems like Pinkamena just don't see this possibility. Or maybe discount it. Bishop f6 is played. Oh no. This is already looking a little bit scary. Maybe it's not a bad idea just to play queen d2 and let black take on f3. I don't think that's really so scary. Knight g5. Black maybe could take on c3 first, then play knight g5. Oh wow, and we didn't take on g5. I think that's a mistake. Bishop takes g5 was necessary, I think. And then h takes g5 and queen d2. The position was fine. Now black maybe can play bishop takes c3 and then knight f4 check. Black misses this opportunity. This was a good one. And now black's advantage is not going to be this big. Rook h1 is a necessary move now, or rook g1 maybe. Then king will go to e2, and it will be not so easy to to ruin this defense. Oh wow, what? No, that's not the move you'd like to make to defend from these threats. That's very strange. Maybe it's not going to cost white too much. At least. What is white thinking? The only move is king g2. King h4 is losing due to g5 check, of course. And not only to this, I think. Yeah, king g2 is played. Maybe black has nothing better than like queen e7 or whatever. Oh no, queen e7 even... White maybe even can take the b6 pawn, so maybe queen d8 would be more accurate from that perspective, but this move is not good looking, so seems like black has nothing better than something like rook b8. Oh, queen e6 is a blunder, I think. I think we can safely take on b6. There will be no consequences. Oh, white has offered a draw, by the way. Black declined. Now, the b6 pawn was key. This is a real impactful loss for black. No, why? Why don't f1? King f1, then king e2, and that's it. No more attack. For some reason, white just missed this completely. The king on h1 is not safe, really. Black will play something like f5, I think. And will be right to do so. Or queen h5 check is played instead. I hope that white will find this maneuver of the king to go to e2. That's essential. f5. Now the pin on the d file. So maybe it was better to... No, I don't know. Maybe this actually is the right decision. But after the exchange, it will be not so easy to defend the g3, the f2 pawn. Black can play bishop g3. And we'll be forced to play f3. And our dark squares are really looking like very scary. But maybe there is no like exact way to use it. The knight on c4 defends the key e3 square. And rook takes f3 is not a big deal. We can just take, then take on f8. Oh, no, that's not... Oh, wow, that was such a huge blunder. Black could play bishop h4 check and just win. White should have just took on f8. This will already be good enough. Bishop c7, queen g3, checkmate is threatened. We have to play e5. Or rook g1 rather. Rook g1 was worse, yeah. We had to play e5. Now black can play g5 check and we'll be forced to give up the rook. And not only that, black will just checkmate us by playing bishop d8 check. And sooner or later, the checkmate will come. Queen f4 is not the accurate move. But black still have chance to play back queen f3. Does it even matter really? Because black has a queen for the rook. Rook h1 maybe can be played, but there will be met by queen f3 check. e5 is nice. Black could have won by playing bishop d8. That was the easiest path. It would be better for Pinkamena if black actually found it, because she'll save some time. I don't think that she really has some chances here. Some checks. No, I don't see it ending bad for black. No stalemate possibilities. I don't see the idea. So now queen f3 is a pre-move here. Yeah, that's it. She's still playing, hoping for a stalemate. Queen b4, and now a4, a5. She's not understanding that you can't afford to waste time in arena tournaments. So the next game, and now we'll finally get a revenge, I think. The opponent is really low skilled, and that's really bad manners. You can't play like this, it's not good. I really hate to see this stuff. This is just... You see, one thing is when someone like Magnus Carlsen plays like this, and the other thing is that some guy that can't really even like play a game without a blunder, he starts doing this stuff. This is like insulting chess as a culture. Now black has some space. Maybe can even exchange on e2. Or bishop h5 is a mistake. Like give up the bishop for some reason. The g4 can be played now. So the exchange happens on d3. g4 is played. At least we have already played h6, so we'll not be losing a bishop. The king's position is compromised for white. f5 is played. Bishop h7. Now we'll just castle, play rook e8, fight for the control of the e4 square. Knight c3 is played. Just castle now. Yeah, let's go. White's position maybe is not looking this bad, but actually I think black really have a decent advantage. Because there is no like good plan for white. White has some weaknesses. The king is not safe. Our only problem is like our bishops on b6 and h7. They are looking relatively useless. If we can solve this problem somehow, we'll have a big advantage. Now, the problem of the black bishop can be easily solved by moving away the 6-6 knight, then playing c6 and bishop c7. And this will be actually the perfect positioning for the bishop. Black decides to go for other idea of exchanging this bishop by playing bishop a5. That's decent as well, but we usually don't want to exchange bishop for a knight. And yeah, a3 was more or less forcing us to do so. Well, after this exchange, I'm not even sure that black's position is better. I really doubt that, because our pros of our position was that that the e3 pawn was a little bit like weak. Now there is no such factor. White has also two bishops advantage, and we have the h7 bishop, which is just awful. Well, at least there is no more pawn on d5, so we can maybe use this bishop to our own good. But at this point, I don't see like what plan can black really make work. I think maybe just play rook a to d8, then move the knight away and play c5. Knight a5 is not looking pretty. The knight is usually bad when it stays on the border. Well, now it's on c4. White will likely have to play bishop c3. Bishop c1 instead. You see, it's quite a usual thing when you put your bishop like in this kind of like positioning against the knight, but I don't think that this exact position is good in this case. I think bishop c3 was better. Oh, black actually took an extra pawn. And now knight has a nasty maneuver by playing knight c2, knight b4, then knight d3. Will be useless after all. h4 is played, so white maybe is planning to go g5, but I don't think that this idea is really something serious, because white is not ready himself. Okay, so I'm having a problem with the microphone. Knight goes to c2. Queen goes to f2, and now knight b4. So yeah, Pinkamena actually went for this idea that I was talking about. And it's a really good timing, because now there is no queen f4 move. It will be a blunder, because we'll exchange and play knight d3. So white is forced to play g5. Black will go knight d3 first, I think. Yeah. And now black can... Oh, that's a blunder. Queen takes g3 and it's over. Yeah. If white made some other move, we'll just go queen g3. After some exchanges, maybe. I think we'll just play king h8, not to lose the bishop, and our next move will be queen g3. Well, now it's over, definitely. Black can... Oh, even can take on e4. So white almost like blundered all the position in 2 or 3 moves. E4 is played. Queen c6 is good, just whatever. Queen takes d4, bishop takes h6, knight f2 check, king h2, queen e5 check, and it's a checkmate, yeah. After like 1 or 2 moves. Yeah, queen takes g3, that's nice. So now Pinkamena will get some ranking points. That was a decent game. But yeah, white just doing this stuff is like, and white is punished for this. That's at least this is nice. What Pinkamena rating is? I bet you're asking like the rating on lichess. If it's correct, her lichess rating now is 1856. So the next game starts, and white has a decent rating of 2058. D3 is played. Maybe it was a misclick, maybe not. E4. Now black can exchange queens and have a very comfortable equality. We can just play e5 if we want. Black even offers draw. Pinkamena likes offering draw, you can see it. Bishop e6 now is decent. Then knight bd7, bishop c5. I would say that meta in this position is like exchanging your so-called bad bishop. For black, it's a dark squared bishop. For white, it's white squared bishop. So the plan was to play bishop e6, then knight d7, then bishop c5. And you can see how both players just don't know what to do. That's what you see in the like chess of low rankings. White is playing better because you see it's a usual idea to play like c3 and king c2 when the d file is open and there are no queens, or even with queens, because the king on c2 is close to center, and he's completely safe. The c3 pawn defends all the important squares, kills the c6 knight. And you see Pinkamena, for example, did kingside castling. Yeah, she's her sister, yeah. As you see, black made a kingside castling, and that's not really a good plan. When you're playing endgame, you want to have your king close to the center. And so that's why the usual sequence of moves would be bishop e6, knight d7, queenside castling, then bishop c5, some exchanges, and then maybe put our king to c7 will be nice. So black maybe don't have enough experience to understand this. But the position is decent after all. I just don't like the b4 move. This was a huge mistake because white has a pair of bishops, and against a pair of bishops we really don't like to have weaknesses. And one of those weaknesses is already eaten on a6. So essentially Pinkamena even didn't have like a chance in this game. And it's already over. I don't see how black want to stop the a5, a4, a5, a6, a7. And now bishop a7 can be played, for example. That's funny. Bishop c5 instead. I'm not a huge fan of this exchange. I think that two bishops are too strong, but now it doesn't really matter because the white's position is easily won. I don't see some difficulties here because the knight struggles so hard against the pawn that's on the border. So white will like play like a4, a5, and even if we are we can place our knight on a6 or a7, it will be essentially useless on the other side of the board. Or opponent game is lost, of course, even more lost than it was. f6, a4 now. She still offers the draw. She believes, you see. Oh, Fatality won today. That's some nice news. Thank you. h6, g4, h5. No, this will not lead to anything. White will just play like a7, a8, give up the pawn, eat on c6, then eat everything else. Now even could have played c4, c5. That's done. It would be better for Pinkamena just not to play this kind of positions to save some time. e6, e7. White is going for the second queen. Wasn't one queen enough? What is this? So now Pinkamena is +1, -3. But it's too early to to say something. So we have a lot of games in front. So the mistake in this game was just not understanding the essential meta of endgames. Maybe you would say that she just blundered the a6 pawn and that's it, but no. Even if knight c3, so it's the 4-knight opening is about to happen. No. Black plays d6 instead. The exchange happens, d3. White gives up the bishop once again, and that's not good. The bishop is much stronger than the knight. You see, usually, no, I'll say that when we have less action going on. Let's just wait until someone gets a huge advantage, and I'll tell you what I wanted to. Queen d7. d5. d5 move was White's chance, to make some exchanges, and the e5 pawn is hanging so hard. Knight takes e5 was very good, but it will still be fine. We still can eat the e5 pawn. Bishop takes f3 is not working because of rook takes e7. Queen d6. Now we'd have to not blunder. Bishop takes f3, yeah, so successfully did it. Rook e8, well, at least black will have some compensation, like bishop and the e-file is black's for some time. When queen d2 is not a good move because now black will just take on f3 and will even have an advantageous position, because in the endgames like this, when you have queens, rooks, the most important criteria to evaluate the position is the positioning of the king, and that's why black have to take on f3, and it seems like just no one cares. So white don't defend it and black don't take it. Oh no, what is going on, guys? It hurts so much to watch this. Why? Just why? But if black took on f3, black will actually have a better position despite being down a pawn. But for some reason, you see, the irony is that the knight is usually better than the bishop, and the only case where knight is better, bishop is always better than the knight, but the only case in which knight is better than the bishop is in connection with queens. So not exchanging on f3 just makes completely no sense in this position. Just why? The knight is better even than the bishop, and also you ruin the pawn structure on the king side, so the king is open. That's why, guys, you have to like solve tactics. If you want to become stronger, you have to solve tactics. There is no question, but you have to at least know some basics of chess strategy. Or if you don't, you're just screwed. So that's why. Like the values of the pieces, the pros and cons of some like pieces, in which positions they are good, what are your usual plans, for example. Not something really difficult and special, but you have to know it. Guys, I'll need like 20 seconds, sorry. I'm back. Queen d5 check. Oh, I was out for like 10 seconds and black's position is already lost, I think. Queen e4 check is the correct move. Rook e3 is played. Rook e3 is like decent. Yeah, rook g3 check, and now queen f7 just finishes the game. Yeah, let's go. So what I was talking about is that I don't really remember already. So queen takes g7, checkmate. What is she thinking? Rook takes g7, why? And rook h7. Simple checkmate wasn't enough for some reason. I forgot what I was about to tell, so if you don't remind me, I will just maybe it was not interesting enough, so I will just let it go. So yeah, some weird decisions from the both sides, but it happened. It like ended in our favor, so that's very nice. But the bad thing is that the opponent's rating is just too low to even get a single rating point for this game. We'll have to try and win some decent opponents if you want to gain some tournament rankings. The game is still not starting, though. You want an interview with Pinkamena? That's a nice idea, actually. We're waiting for. Funny. Pinkamena is having fun. Look at her. So yeah, just some blunders. That's what happens. Yeah, if you are looking for some way to become stronger in chess, to compete with strong players like Pinkamena, or even like her sister, you have to solve tactics and solve some basic strategy. And the other thing that you need is basic understanding of openings. Just knowing some like Italian opening, the e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6. What is called fried liver attack, something like this. I'm not sure that I'm correct about the English name of this, all this stuff. But you know what I mean. So the openings that happened after e4, e5, you have to know them very good, like King's Gambit and all this. This is essential to understand like the the essence of tactics. So just what the tactics is all about, and that's the most important thing in chess. b6, b4. So white took some space um, on the queen side, but black will always have a counterplay on the king side by playing e5. Yeah, I've always won this FM. Is he good enough? No, I'm not good enough. That's what I'm saying every stream. That I'm not playing because I'm not good enough. We exchanged on f6. So now we have a bishop, and that's actually a very bad exchange for white. I don't get the idea of it because it was not very easy for black to somehow play e5. But now just every piece is on the right place to do it. White also had to play a4 just all the time. And a4 now is even very good. So white could have played a4 now. And if we play, for example, b takes a4, white could have played b5 and then c6. And if you take a takes b4, white will do the same. And once again, the c6 idea was very scary for black. That opportunity is missed, and now essentially white don't have some counterplay, and black will just go e5. Bishop h7 check. That's what you do when you just don't know, like, what's your plan. Now g6 is the threat, so white have to go back. We can just go bishop b7 first. No, queen a7. Yeah, let's take the a file first. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to you guys. Pinkamena does not speak English. Knight b3. Queen a3. So the b4 pawn is attacked. She's clapping, look. White can go queen c3. No, knight from f3 goes to d2. But that's not defending the b4 pawn, so why? Oh, actually, maybe white have a queen a2 move. And we can't play bishop b7 because of queen a7. So we have to play queen a4. That's the only move, not to lose material. That's some funny ideas. Yeah, and queen a4 is found. Want to tell us how to play Catalan decently? The most important question now. Catalan. You know, when I started playing Catalan myself, well, not for white, just from the black's perspective. So at some point, people started to play Catalan against me very often, and I had a really disastrous performance in this opening. Like I had maybe a 10% win, and I tried just every way to play it, just every possible variation, and none of them did work. And this was a real disaster. And then I just at some point I just saw that now I'm serious. I'll just spend some time studying this opening, and I actually found a good novelty. And you see, the exact novelty didn't like occur in my games too often, but while inventing this one, I was like working with a lot of material from this opening. I started to know well all the important variations, and my results like became very decent from disastrous. And that's what happens when you work on something. So you just get the result at some point. And Black will get the result in her game, because after a2, White is unavoidably losing the a5 knight. Then Black will play bishop c3, a1 queen. White will lose another knight, and then the game. Or prefers to like give Black a queen and just resigns. The only thing that I would say about studying openings is just don't study this. Don't study the games and the computer analysis like too far, because the problem is when you like see the moves. For example, there are two moves you are choosing between. So there was like 5,000 games after one move, and like 57 games after second move. So that usually means that the move that has the 5,000 games is much better. Because if you have a good move and a good statistics in this move, it will be more popular. So, you know. But for example, when you have two moves and one move was made like 100 times and the other move was made like 3 times, it doesn't necessarily mean that the move that was made 3 times is worse, because this happens usually like when we're speaking about like 13th, 14th move, or maybe even like 20th move, and we don't have enough games just to create some decent statistics, and you no more have like guarantees that people are not mistaken making this move instead of that move. So you'll usually not get games of someone like Magnus Carlsen or top grandmasters. So you'll be likely getting the statistics of some like FIDE masters like me, and this doesn't really mean anything. So usually it's better to so the relevant statistics you can get only the first like 10 to 12 moves, I would say. Then you have to think yourself. And also this means that when these openings will happen in your games, you'll have some space to think, actually, not to copy the moves that you know, but to think yourself and to understand some like meta of this opening. And don't really be serious about the computer evaluations. If you have a relevant human statistics, it's usually better than the computer analysis. Because, for example, if you see Magnus Carlsen making some move, this means that he knows this analysis as well as you do, but his analysis is much better than yours, because he's using some like cloud engines and all this that you don't have. He pays money for counting all these openings, and that means that his like engine evaluation is better than yours, or the engine evaluation is not relevant. So the engine is not perfect, and in some positions it just don't understand what's better and what's worse. So the human perspective is more relevant. That's what engine says. But after like 12 moves, nothing is already relevant, and you have to think yourself. Pinkamena offers a draw, and this is the one game where like the draw is accepted. Actually, you may think that her position was better this time because she has space, but actually it's all opposite, because the space advantage is the advantage that you get because minor pieces are feeling like bad when they are lacking space. But this can't be said about the rooks and the queen, because they don't really need space. And the d4 pawn will be hanging at some point Actually, black's position, king side position, is defended with 4 pawns and white's with 3 pawns. And this is what the positioning of the king is what matters most in this kind of positions. And space, like in the position when we have queens and rooks, the space even may become a disadvantage. But in this exact position, white didn't have some weaknesses. So that's why the position was almost equal, and the opponent agreed to draw, and this makes sense. Well, I'll not completely say that computer doesn't understand opening. The computer don't understand the like first 3 or 4 moves, because she can't just count far enough. And he doesn't really understand the closed positions. So in the open positions, when you're just counting variations, the computer is decent. But when the position is closed, your engine should be like very, very good to see through all this. Oh, we have some very interesting stuff going on. White sacrificed a pawn, but black defends from all this activity. I dubbed the f6 move. I think black should have played like kingside castle, give up the e5 pawn, and the position would be like nearly equal. But black is going for some risks, trying to keep this extra pawn. But I'm not sure if this is a good decision, because it's an opening, and and black actually blundered the d6 knight. White didn't notice it. Just snap moves from both sides. The knight on d6 is not defended, and no one cares. Look at this, guys. What is this? So that's why you don't need some strategical mindset if you just can't see that the knight is blundered and you just don't take it. So that's why the tactics goes on the first place. Just you can't miss this kind of things if you are like want to be a decent chess player. That's what I'm talking about. Actually, you can see that in the games of low-skilled players, the timings are completely off. So why didn't notice that the d6 pawn is hanging? Because played too fast. And there was no reason to play fast in this exact position. So the c5 move was obviously bad. And white should have just thought a little bit more and tried to like find some punishment for black. But just made a snap move, and this was not a good timing to do so. Or black blundered on f8 as well. That's not looking good. And now white don't miss this opportunity. Doesn't miss, I mean. Well, at least black has 3 pawns. Of course, 3 pawns is not enough, and especially not enough in this position, because we still have queens on board. Queen d3, we can play queen f7 maybe. Or queen d6 rather. Queen c5 is also good. Queen d8, I think, is the worst between all those decisions. Because now we can defend this d5 pawn. Queen c5 was the best, I think. Queen c5 and rook d8. Well, now we take on g4. Bishop takes d5 check. And now white will take on b7, then take on a7. Have too many pawns. Oh, actually, white can't play bishop takes b7 because of bishop takes d1. So this is something that can be blundered, I think. Bishop f3 maybe is decent. Rook d2 maybe. Bishop takes b7, that's a blunder. So just take on d1, and yeah, that's it. That's nice. Well, now it's becoming competitive. I would even say that black's position is better. No. Queen a6 is played. So white is not exchanging queens, and I think that's not a good decision because black's positioning of the king is very bad. And usually white would like this exchange in most of like scenarios. Maybe rook b8 is not a good move. I think something like maybe I don't exactly know. Maybe there was some tactics. I feel like there was something better. Bishop b3 is played. Whoa, that's ballsy, really. Rook b2. Oh, king h6 is very strong. Oh no, it's not, because rook on b8 is hanging. Yeah, bishop f7 is fine. It's a nice move. The pin on the 7th rank is threatening. Yeah, Catalan is really a difficult opening. I understand that. How much moves it's okay the deviate from opening on average? I'm not sure that I understand the question enough. If you are asking like until what move the statistics is relevant, I would say that in opening, like in open positions, it can be like far away. Just if you see that there are two moves and there are like some tactics is going on. So maybe one move is just tactically better than another, then it may be relevant. But if the position is stable and there are like 3 or 4 moves between which you can choose and the evaluation is pretty much the same, this means that you already can like choose whatever you like and maybe create something new even. I actually, well, if you're asking on average, I would say that maybe 10 to 12 move. You see, for example, I have a novelty that I found, and it's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on the 6th move, you see? And it's a real strong novelty. So even this stuff can happen. Of course, this is not happening very often because like 6th move, and this is a quite popular opening. This novelty is on the like Bogolyubov defense. I think maybe that's in English. It's called semi-Indian or something like this. You see, I'm some sort of specialist in like Slav exchange, and I'd say that in Slav exchange, like even in like 8th or 9th move, when I see the position, I didn't study the theory like too much, but I played it a lot, so I found some understanding. And essentially, any time where I didn't already know what the theory is, and I thought like myself, I managed to find actually the theoretical move or even a better move than the theory is recommending. So that's why you have to like feel free to think yourself. You see, if you are learning, if you are not a strong player yet, your like goal in opening is just not to tactically lose. So you want to just have an equal position, nice equal position, when you like know what is your plan looking like. So what are your like pros and cons? You have to be sure that the position is fine and likely what you can do. And even if you don't know the plan, that's not bad because you can think about it yourself, try to like plan, try to like make your own plan work, and maybe after this you'll see that this was actually what strong players do. Or maybe you'll find that you're not correct about this, and For example, you look through the engine, and the engine will show you what you was mistaken about. The analysis of your games that's what makes you stronger. Well, talking about the position that is going on, so black's pawn structure is a little bit ruined, but pieces are more active, and actually white has more space, which is not an advantage at this point. Now black can exchange on e3, and I think that's essentially what black has to do. And if white rook takes e3, black can play knight c4. And white, I think, have to give up this pawn. And then after knight takes b2, just to play rook b1, fight for some counterplay on the b file. But black misses this opportunity, didn't play knight c4, plays rook b8 instead. White plays b3, and now the position is dead call, I would say. So white have some disadvantage because of having space, and black have some disadvantage because of questionable pawn structure. So you see, sometimes it's good when your pawn structure is ruined this way because your pawns are close to the center. As you can see, the c6 pawn is cutting off the c3 knight. But also white, for example, have an idea like rook d4, rook a4. The pawn on a7 is a little bit weak. And there is no real play on the b file. Oh, d5 is played. d5 is giving up the pawn for no apparent reason. I don't see what was like forcing black to do so. And black is giving up another pawn. And the knight, when you try to evaluate the knight's endgame, the evaluation is the same usually as if it was a pawn endgame. White already had one pawn, extra pawn, and now white will have one more extra pawn, and the game is essentially over. That means that I can once again watch if you ask someone something. So yeah, white have two extra pawns, and this will be so easy. c4. The king will go to c3, I think. c3 is a nice square for a king. Then b4. We just have to move our king closer to the action. For example, if Pinkamena now plays b4, this is not a good move. It will not be a mistake, maybe. A decisive one. But you have to move your king first, closer to the pawns. There's no need to rush. We can just consolidate as much time as we want. Because black don't have some counterplay. g5 is played. King d3 is fine. King d2 is even better, I think. Oh, g4. Oh, I don't like the g4 move actually, because you see, black is trying to make some counterplay on the king side, and the g4 move even helps that. So we want our pawns to stay back, just not to help black like make some action. White is going for the h6 pawn. That's funny, and this will work. Knight will take on h6 and go to f5. You see, this idea is tactically working, but I'd say that it's not like positionally true from the positional play perspective. But you see, white's advantage is just so big that she can do whatever she wants. Oh, knight d4 check and the pawn endgame. Let's go. King d3 is played. You don't like to miss this kind of opportunities, but like we have 3 extra pawns, so what can go wrong, to be honest? Knight d4 will be played now, I'm sure. Yeah, that's it. The exchange. For some reason, she decided to take with the king. I would rather take with the pawn, of course. There's a funny way to win this kind of positions. You can just stalemate the king on c8. This will just force black to play f5, then g takes f5, g4, f6, f7, and f8, and a checkmate. So we're waiting once again. The hour already passed, and we have half an hour to go. You guys can ask some questions if you like, because now we're commentating only Pinkamena. Fatality is not playing, so I have more time than I usually do when we're waiting for next game to start. And just feel free to ask something and try to give you a useful answer. So the next game starts. The opponent is very low rated and ranked. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. Once again, some usual openings. Just feels a little bit Italian. Oh, that's the classical one. c3, knight f6, d4. That's what you learn when you like have your second or third lesson in chess. Bishop d2 is one of the main moves. Yeah, the correct reaction is to take on d2 and now play d5. That's what every child knows. Oh no, come on. Why? Just why? d5, of course, is the right move. And now white will have a space advantage. And d5 was not a good decision, actually, because now at least black have counterplay on the dark squares. Oh, and after this move, black have an extra bishop as well. But if white didn't play d5, white had an opportunity just to like castle safely and have a center, and a center is a huge advantage when the minor pieces are not exchanged. What is a platform where she's playing? It's a lichess, the best chess platform you can find. And I'm not even paid to say it though. This is just like the truth, the naked truth. Knight b6, e5, just castle, please. Yeah, that's it. And now bishop g4. Some exchanges, we'll play some piece on e5, get some control, and white will have no chances to stop us from winning this game. Knight takes e5, even one more blunder for good measure. Queen takes d5, rook e8 instead. Knight c5. Well, now queen takes d5 for sure. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're welcome, Darwin. Queen c1. Rook takes c5 now. Yeah. White is just missing all the tactics. Knight d7 is like a desperation move. And white resigns. Okay, another question. Is chess tournaments in Russia unisex, same for men and women? Well, you are offered different kinds of tournaments here in Russia. When you are playing, so there is most of the tournaments are not separated. But when we are talking about like men's, like a Moscow championship, for example, or Russian championship, we have like the men's category and the women's category. This is the same for children and for like grown-up guys, just for like any age. So the qualificational tournaments are usually separated. I wonder if that's a usual practice. A3, let's go. We have to play A3, not to give black an opportunity to exchange the knight for the bishop, but we didn't. We even give black another opportunity to do so by playing G5 and knight H5. Oh, black's rating is actually huge. 22 and 63. This is like the territory where I can lose to these guys myself sometimes. Knight A5 is played. You see, it's fair that tournaments are separated because, like in common, the level of competition in the men's groups is much higher than in women's groups. For example, you see, you get the like Kent Deathmaster for men when you are 2200, and for women you get the same when you are like 1800 or something like this. So that's why there is a separation. The exchange happened, G5. Bishop goes to G3. Knight H5. Chess Fight Night tournaments are not separated. So G4. The exchange on G4. White pawn structure is just screwed. So many weaknesses. It's hard to believe that black don't have some extra material, but because it completely looks like that's just white's position is just destroyed, just all in ruins. And also 2 bishops for a good measure. C6. A3. Don't pay attention to chess. Oh, I maybe missed it. Where are you from? What's your country? The queen H5 check. King G1. C5 is played. C5 actually is a decent idea. Oh, the exchange is so awful. Black's pawn structure is so screwed. All the pawns are weak. I don't even like the bishop takes F3 pawns. F3 move, because at least there is some like recovery for white's structure. Black's idea was to play bishop d4 check, but it doesn't work because king g2, and now actually white's position is better for some reason. Black made a very huge mistake by exchanging on f3. So I think that the evaluation maybe was around like -4, -5, and now it's like +3 or something like this. But um, you're from Guatemala. Well, you see, I would say that the popularity of chess is just starting from the Soviet Union times, and like Soviet chess school was much stronger than any other country's school. And you see, we even had chess matches like USSR against the other world, and so the level of competition was incredible. The love to chess and the strong competition, it comes from these times, but you see, last couple of years are not very good in terms of like loving chess and promoting chess in our country. So we have some organizations that make chess more popular between the people that just don't play yet, between the kids, but the professional chess are on the downward spiral in our country, I would say. The rest of the world develops a little bit better from my perspective. H4. Seems like finally black maybe created some problems for white. But I'm still not sure if this is actually decisive, because at least white can play king h3 if she likes. King h3 is good, I think. Yeah, that's it. That's nice. I don't see that tactical way from black to convert it. And white is threatening c7. This is a huge threat. Queen f6 is played. Now white have to think carefully, just not to waste this opportunity. And yeah, this move was made too fast. I think that king g2 is a mistake. c7 maybe was better, because rook f3 wasn't working, I think. King e8. Rook g7 maybe can be played, but this is giving up the c6 pawn. My favorite world champs. Well, my favorite world champion is Tigran Petrosyan, I think. Oh, no, what? Queen a6? No, of course there is a checkmate for black here. Poor Pinkamena. That was a really huge mistake. That was a chance to win a very strong opponent. Black will definitely find a checkmate here. Or do they? Maybe there isn't one. No, there is one, definitely. Queen h3, then rook g4, then rook g2, then queen e3, then queen g1, then queen takes f1. Yeah. So my favorite world champion is Tigran Petrosyan. You can see that like I'm not completely fair about this because I'm Armenian as he is, but that's not the main reason why it's so. The reason is like he is like an ultimate strategical player, so he has defensive play style, and I really like this style in chess. I think that's really underrated. While I am talking, black is struggling to find a checkmate, but finally I think it's over. Queen f6 check, then queen g6, then queen g8. I would say that the most talented world champions were I don't even know. Alexander Alekhin was much stronger than anyone around him when he was alive. So he was not beaten, as you know. Robert Fischer was incredibly talented. He wasn't beaten as well. Garry Kasparov was when he was in his prime, he was like absolutely destroying everyone. But yeah, Tigran Petrosyan is my personal favorite. If you like go to my that's even written in my lichess page. So that's how I love this guy. Oh, you can see Pinkamena. Fatality is back, so she's like waving her hands. Hello, Fatality. No, Magnus Carlsen. Yeah, how how dare I forgot him? So of course Magnus Carlsen is also like on another level comparing to other players. Maybe not right now, but like 3 to 7 years before this time, I think he was just destroying. This was not even close. Of course, we'll be all rooting for Yan Nepomniachtchi now. We all, I mean, Russians. But to be honest, I think that Magnus's chances are higher. But I think that this is at least this championship is much more competitive This match is much more competitive than the previous ones, despite them ending in like an overtime. For example, the Karakin's match, I felt that Magnus keeps and has the control all over the match. So you see, when he was watching match against the Karakin, he lost. Magnus was losing at some point, and he had not so many games to come back, but he managed to do it. And like I really saw that coming. I felt that if he wants, he'll find a way to come back. Feels like he was just playing chill. He was sure that he has this match in his back pocket. And I don't think that this will be the case in this match against Yanni Pomnishi, because he has a much different play style. He can create some problems. He'll be preparing. He's just like hungry for wins. So let's see. I think that this will be an interesting match. I don't see it being one-sided, and I also don't see it being like boring. I think we'll have fun at least. Knight f3. So let's see if Pinkamena wants draw once again and plays knight e4. No, she doesn't. She plays rook c8. Now we'll take on b5, I think. No, knight e4 instead. I don't get maybe oh no, she doesn't take on b5 because there is a pin. But when white unpin his rook, black are definitely have to take on b5, because the bishop on a6 will be potentially worse than the knight, maybe in some scenarios, if knight goes to c3, for example, or a3, c4, e5. Now she played f5, so the plan is to go f4, maybe, or something different like knight f6, knight d5, or maybe queen h4, knight f6, knight g4. Pinkamena doesn't understand English. She plays like on her own, so I'm not giving some advices. You maybe think so. We're in different places now, and she doesn't even hear me, I think. Knight goes to f6. Yeah, so that's one of ideas I was talking about. The d5 will be a good placing for the knight. Oh, I think black really should have better used the opportunity when there was one to take on b5 and ruin white's pawn structure and exchange the bishop. So usually, as I always say, that bishop is better than the knight, but I don't think that this is the case where this is true. Well, at least maybe black has an idea of playing f4, then queen h5, for example. I think this may be dangerous. Queen b2 is played. Well, I think now f4 is even stronger. I'm not entirely sure that it's working. I would not maybe play this move myself, because I would be scared. Knight g4 is played. That's quite useless because white will play h3, so I don't think that. I think that the h3 is a like plan move, so white will play h3 anyway. Knight c4 is played. Whoa, that's some tactics. White is baiting black to take on b5, and that will be a blunder. This was such an obvious trap in Pinkamena. Knight d6, yeah. Queen c6. Take. Oh no, this was not really a good idea to take with the rook, because when you have one rook and your opponent has two, for example, you down on exchange, or you have two minor pieces for the rook and some pawns. The last thing that you'd like to do is to exchange the rooks, because when the rook of your opponent has no opponent, it becomes really like very, very strong. White have to go queen b5 now, or maybe queen d6. but make some aggressive move. The queen c4 is played. I think that's now black can play b5 maybe. White's idea is to play queen c6, but maybe it's not as good as it looks like. We can exchange and play b4 maybe. Or can we? Queen a7 is played. Oh no, it's blunder of the e6 pawn, and now all the position will be just in the ruins. Queen will take on f5, the rook will go to c8, and this will already be a checkmate. Hi Lotzi. What about your question? Funny that we talked about it just 5 minutes before the stream started. Maybe someday, yeah, I'll be playing and commentating. Rook c8 is a checkmate now. It's a problem to make this kind of stream with Fatality or Pinkamena because they don't speak English. No, I'm not sure about Fatality actually. Pinkamena doesn't speak English for sure. So let's go Pinkamena. This may be the last game. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, Rui Lopez opening. We have seen this so many times. No, Pinkamena really likes to exchange her bishop. Knight takes c5 is a questionable move, I think. Well, of course, it's like one of the theoretical moves, but I don't really have some advantage here. Even maybe we'll fight for equality. I think rook e1 is a mistake. White had to play h3 first, and then g4. Because now the pawn structure will be ruined. Black's pawn structure is much better, despite just having the same kind of pawns, but the 6-6 pawn is defended by the b7 pawn, so this structure is not as bad as what white have on the king side. Akato, I can answer your question if you understand English. I would say the most important quality for the chess player to have is a good concentration. I was like teaching some students once, and I tried some new method on them. So they were kids, and I just somehow forced them to be concentrated, and the results were so surprising. So they were finding moves that I thought that were just impossible for them to find, absolutely impossible. So they made some just unreal guesses, found some new ideas. This is like really what chess is all about, the concentration. So you have to work hard. That's, I think, the case on all the sports, not only in chess. You have to be like hard working. It also helps when you have like a personality of a champion. So you're not scared of your opponent. You are willing to take risks. So now I have a pawn endgame here. That's a very funny one, but I think that it's a definite draw because if black don't have some tempos, he can just go king f6, e6, and just it's going to be a draw, I think. On the king side, that's nice. Oh, f6 is a mistake. F6 is not. Oh no, why? Why not? Oh, maybe. Well, maybe I was not right myself, but maybe d4 was winning. I'm not sure. Oh, now nothing changes, to be honest. So d4. I think white has some chances. King d6. King f4 is possible, but I think white is scared of c takes d4, c takes d4, b5, and seems like it's working for black. Maybe you have to go king d3 and just make a draw. Oh, yellow, see, that's nice. That's you like this idea. So maybe we'll do it. I'm ready for this myself. I'd be glad to do so. King d3, king e6. Now we can just take on c5. This is like one of the funniest position I think I've seen. Just the perfect pawn structure for both sides. Now the draw is agreed. Do we get one more game? That's the question. I think we do. Because like 5 minutes, even 4 minutes is enough, really. Yeah, that's it. We start the last game. So now I'll not be distracting and we'll just be concentrating on the game. D4, the Scotland defense is on the board. Bishop e3, bishop b6. Scotland opening, rather. Bishop c4, knight f6. Well, I don't really know the series, so we'll just hope that everything that happens on the board is fine. Knight take e4 maybe was possible, then d5. I'm not sure. Rook d1, bishop g4. So this is one of these positions where white have space, and this actually does matter. White's position is better because of this space. Because a knight on f6 is not feeling good. The bishop on h5 is feeling even worse. Give up, Arman? I'm not even playing. Why would I give up? Knight d5. The exchange will happen on d5. Oh, and that's a blunder. The b7 pawn is hanging now. White will take it and will have an advantage. Knight d5 was actually a strong... Oh no, come on. Why? I was thinking that the entire idea of all this was to take the b7 pawn. And when like the opportunity presented itself, white didn't do it. So that's why his tactics goes on the first place, as I always say. I don't like tactics myself. I am like a strategical guy, but I can't deny it. Tactics is very important. We have to play c5 now, I think. The c pawn is attacked. Oh no, c5 is not good actually, because rook e1 will be played. Oh wow, queen takes g6, I actually missed that. We can play queen takes b3. That's nice tactics, straight from the tactical chess book. Nice one. But yeah, there's a queen takes g7 move. The exchange, and well, this rook ending I think is drawn. I don't. The draw will be difficult for black, but I think that because of this ruined pawn structure on the queen side, we actually, like theoretically, have a draw. Let's see if Pinkamena's technique is good enough or her opponent's technique is bad enough for this to happen. You want to see Pinka playing a defensive game? You know, I want that myself as well. Everyone wants it, and this will be very helpful. But that's what you get when you are teaching children to play. They are always attacking. If there is a good opportunity for this, or if there is not. Rook e8 was inaccurate. It was better to take on e1 than play rook d8. I think rook e6, rook d3, rook e3. Well, now white's chances became a little bit better. I think there is some consolidation. What's my rating on lichess? Well, I have two accounts. In one account, I have 2600. In the other, I have 2700. I'm playing 3+2 because I'm slow and I don't have enough time. I'm not really a blitz player, to be honest, so that's why my rating is low. Rook b5. Oh, that's not looking good for black. Because now white simply can go king d3, king c4. Yeah, a4 is a nice move, actually. Oh, thank you so much. That's I appreciate that, man. Rook b3. Yeah, my rating is commentator, that's right. G4. So you see, it's 3-on-2 on the queen side, and but the problem is that it will not be easy actually to exchange the c pawn for the a pawn. Actually, white missed some time, and now black can go c2 check, and rook takes f3, and this will be a draw. But white will still have black will still have to work for it, and g5 is just an awful move because now white don't have chances at all. Rook c5. Rook a3, a5. This is a draw even if like maybe even if there is no f7 pawn for black. Now this is an easy draw. There are no good ideas for white. The pawn will not just go through by itself. Or maybe it isn't. Or rook b5 was actually making some problems. Maybe I was not correct with my evaluation. No, black is doing the wrong thing. The right thing was to cut off the king from the b file, but now somehow white is winning this. That's unfortunate. And to be honest, I maybe was not correct about the evaluation. Well, it definitely was a draw. Black's best bet was to go with her king to the center of the board, but black wasted some time, and that's what happened in the end. Rook f1, and it's done. Yeah, well, to be honest, this was a tricky endgame, so just well deserved for white. GG. So thank you guys. Oh, you're thanking me for the helpful commentary. That's really good to read. So I'm happy that you guys enjoy it. Um, I'll see you next Monday, or maybe sooner if we somehow decide like to commentate. Maybe I will play and commentate. Maybe this will happen sooner. Maybe I'll be casting the tournament on Wednesday, on Sunday, just whatever may happen, guys. So thanks for watching. See you. Bye bye.